Hey guys, welcome to Ready Up episode 13. I'm your host, Josh Davis, and today I'm riding solo. No one here in the studio with me today. As you guys know, we launched in China this week, so everyone's a little bit tired from staying up and supporting that release. Do have some new information for you guys today. As you know, we announced Tournament of Legends 2 will be coming up shortly in June or July. I want to let you guys know they're going to be extending the brackets for that up to 128 teams. Last time we had a cap at 64. Wait, originally, I guess I'll back up here, we had only anticipated about 16 teams signing up for the tournament, and we were really hoping that we would get the full 16, but we were kind of planning on having an 8-team tournament. We ended up getting something like 234 submissions for all teams, so we're going to bump up to 128 teams per region for the next go-around. So anyways, if you guys have teams out there, now's the time to practice. We should have more news coming out about that. I would say sometime, I'd say early next month it would be a good time for that, and we hope to have it actually running by the end of July, but that's subject to change. So anyways, the reason you guys are here, I did an interview with Apex Prime yesterday, winners of the Tournament of Legends for North America. I had H-Man, Chubbs, sorry, take that back, did not have the Master of Tacos, the father himself, H-Man, was not able to attend. I did have Morpheus, Chubbs, Knight, and who else did I have? You have no idea. I wrote his name down. Tarsus. I had Tarsus too. So I've got an interview with them. Real quick before we go to that, we've got a little recap vid that our community coordinator for competitive, Mark, did for the Tournament of Legends. We're going to jump into that, and then we'll jump into the interview.
Welcome to the North American Tournament of Legends.
Bring your friends, bring your girlfriends, your moms, your dads, your brothers, your sisters. He's also joined by Lil Jon. And will that song go through? No. They're 10 points away. They're 2 kills away from taking this game, Blues. What a comeback. Can't believe they just took that game.
The mobility from Elusive right now is just off the chart.
The game has changed, Blue.
Now, the biggest thing to pick off here is the fact that Kate is not playing DP.
The fact that he is still alive amazes me, Blue. Don't get cocky, kid.
And now Trapfire is coming in from the Necromancer on blue team.
15 points now between the teams. It's going to come down to a timer, Blue. I'm calling in now as Tarsus jumps in here. It's H-Man who drops first. But the Whirling Iron from Sub-Cutie is enough to keep the cleave down. But H-Man does get up.
It's day end. H-Man going up against Spakery and Master Splinter. And what is he doing? He got a free channel the buff, but no, it's not going to stop. It's everyone is now on their way over here because this is going to be the node to fight for. I do think, ladies and gentlemen, that they do have this game. Apex coming back there with a double buff spawn in 8 minutes and 30 seconds is going to be able to take this game.
Alright, so I wanted to bring it back real quick before we go into the interview. As a note, the volume on it's a little bit low, so I'm probably going to be really loud compared to the interview, so you might want to crank up your volume just a teeny tiny eensy-weensy bit. We put the audio of the interview over the last 2 games of the finals, so we'll be watching the final bit of the Battle of Kylo match, and then going into the pretty epic Temple match that was the 4th and final game. So anyways, once we're ready, we'll take it over and enjoy the interview, guys. Grouch here, and I'm here with Apex Prime, winners of Tournament of Legends for North America. We've got Morpheus here, Mr. Morpheus, that plays Bunker Guardian. Knight playing Spirit Ranger. We've got Tarsus, and we've got Chubbs. So let's be honest, like through the tournament, you guys swept most of your teams. You only lost 1 game in the entire tournament, and that was in the grand finals. So like, tell us about your experience. Like, I mean, how were the games? Were you guys stressed at all?
No, we were pretty confident going. Like, before the tournament, we were pretty confident we would win, or at least make it to the finals, just based on the teams that we saw playing. But we weren't stressed, but we were kind of worried when we saw KPZ copying our comp, so we weren't sure how that was going to play out. So we knew that the fact that we've been playing it longer, that we obviously had the advantage there. But we weren't pretty, I mean, it was pretty good. I enjoyed playing it, and I had a lot of fun.
Before the tournaments, we practiced a few nights, and then we know that we are probably going to make it to final.
Okay, so you didn't drop any games before the tournament when you were practicing?
Yeah.
Did you guys scrim at all versus teams, or were you just playing Team Q?
Just Team Q, basically. Team Q. We did once, I mean, everyone knows about it now with 55 HP monk scrim, but that's the only scrim we did.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of Team Q, we didn't drop a single game. I think we went like 30-0 or something against all NA teams, so we were pretty confident.
That's pretty good. I would say you had pretty good odds. And it worked out for you guys, so look at that. So you mentioned KPZ copied your comp there. I believe they picked it up like the day before, the day of the finals. Pretty much mirror comp. They had Sub-Cutie actually swapping out to Spirit Ranger in I think one of the semifinals games. I think you mentioned that earlier. And they put him on I believe it was a Sword Dagger Thief, right?
Yeah.
So it seemed to be, I would say, fairly effective. I mean, they definitely gave you guys a run for your money in some of the games, right? Like, let's be honest. Like, some of the games were really, really close. Why do you think SubQT's Thief did so well against your, you had Knight on Spirit Ranges kind of mirroring it. Why did that do so well against your team?
Our biggest weakness is mobility. We kind of rely on skirmishes, and the fact that they have a Thief, the Thief can basically just jump from team fight or skirmish to skirmish, especially if Tarsus is 1v1ing like Kapa, which is what he was doing in like a majority of the matches. If like Kapa's getting low or he just wants Tarsus dead, SubQT can instantly go over there, just burst him down, and instantly go back to mid or the far point if he wanted to. So that was definitely an issue that we had to like take care of.
You guys went through a 4-game series. You guys ended up winning 3-1, right? And the first game, you guys pretty much, how do I put this softly? You guys, you destroyed them. I think the final score was like 464 to 159. I mean, it was just a complete blowout. I believe they actually surrendered towards the end, right? Like, the game didn't even go to the end. They wanted to call it and get in the next game. The second game, though, they actually ended up taking the game from you guys, 501 to 268. Like, what was the big shift there?
I was telling H-Man the other day, it was his fault.
Okay.
His communication.
We noticed that the game was really close the entire match, and as it got closer to like the 200 mark, like 220, they had 2 points. We had mid, and then all of a sudden mid just got decapped. I don't think Blue or Siren kind of caught on that, but it just got decapped. And the reason that happened is because there was a huge miscommunication between me and H-Man. And I was going to go back and help Tarsus, but he decided to go back instead, so none of us stayed on mid while I think the Guardian was on mid. So it just got decapped. And then we ended up having Waterfall. So if we would have just kept mid and Waterfall, I think after we capped Waterfall, we held like a point for a good 2 minutes or something. If we would have just had mid and Waterfall, we probably would have rocketed in points and probably could have won that easily. But we ended up losing mid, only had Waterfall, and then SubQT decapped Waterfall or capped it, so we got 2 caps.
Pretty much losing midpoint on Foefire is GG. It's so hard to get that thing decapped. And like you said, if you get decapped with no one on it, it really comes down to a communication issue. So you guys think you would have sort of 3-0'd him had it not been for that?
I'm pretty confident with it, because actually Legacy is our strongest map.
How would you describe your comp?
We call it the healing meta. The sustained healing meta is what we basically thought of it, or I guess call it.
Well,
I wouldn't say Brick Raw Pond, just because
right.
Call it nowadays.
Right. Well, how does your comp work? So, I mean, we mentioned before, you've got the Zerker Hambo, you've got Soldier Hambo, Spirit Ranger, the Healing Guardian, I guess you could say, or a very bunkery Guardian, right? And then you've got the Staff Elementalist playing with Cleric's Amulet. So, like, how does this comp work? Why is it so sustainy? That's a new word, sustainy.
From my point of view, as a Staff LE, my whole job is to pretty much keep the fields going at all times, getting ready to blast every single field that comes up, mainly on chills, especially for my warriors. So, let's say Tarsus or someone jumps on a squish, like a primary target, an NG, for example. I'll put a frost field on top of the NG, so if the NG was to use block, it would still be chilling him. But while he's doing that, I'm either shooting my earth auto attacks through the frost field to chill, or I do a double blast and I give them frost armor, so pretty much it still keeps them automatically chilled. So as a Staff LE, my job is to really just support my team and survive in 1v1s, or sometimes against certain classes I can kill 1v1s. But I'm usually the one rotating from point to point, helping the team fights with my heals and stuff.
Grouch here, and I'm here with that I watched, but it was
Based on
also
kind of what I saw from the VODs, I think what it was is, since they have a thief,
why is that? At least on
and we have a lot of skirmishes on all 3 points, they can outnumber us in 1 point, for example, but the other points, we're pretty confident in our skirmishing skills, so we'll end up winning those fights over time. So even if they can constantly rotate to those points, over time, which is basically what was happening on Pilot, we kept killing them over and over and over since they have a thief, they have more ability, so they might win 1 point, for example, but we might have the other 2 neutered, and we might be fighting over them, but over time we kill them on those points, so over time we were finally able to cap those points, and once we cap a point, it's extremely hard to take it back from us. So I think that's what was happening, and also, I think there was a little bit miscommunication, and we weren't, I don't know, I think they kind of countered our strat, so we had to adjust mid-game, so I think H-Man was saying Tarsus was saying Knight had to stay back and watch for sub-QD, so that way every time sub-QD saw him, he basically just ran, so therefore we can just win the other points.
Yeah, we took advantage of them having a thief as well. We learned it halfway through Kylo that the thief is not too useful in team fights, especially versus our comp, so we just took advantage of that.
Let's talk about Game 4. And Game 4 started out similar to how Kylo did, right? This is probably the most intense game that I watched, but it was also the most, I guess, heart-wrenching. So the score was 238 to 139. KPZ once again in the lead, and Chubbs gets a pretty nice cap on top buff, right? No one is around, just a free cap. Well, lo and behold, Blue pans to bottom buff, and there's H-Man getting a full free channel on bottom buff. Yeah. No one around. And finally, Reevesy or Master Splinter comes in very last second there and tries to get a couple Earth auto attacks off on him. Doesn't land him. And you guys get a free 6 cap for, I forgot how long it was. But the end score of the game was 394 to 501. Obviously the 6 cap kind of catapulted you, kind of slingshot you guys back, into the winning spot and into the win eventually. But what was happening there? Was that bad rotation on their part? Bad calls?
What was happening? We were 2 capped, and I was fighting a 1v1. I think against Reevesy for the longest time on their point, and Subcutie came in and tried to 1v2 me. Well, I mean it's an alien thief. They can't really kill me that fast. So when 8:30 came, I think they just completely forgot. I'm assuming that's what happened.
I think Reevesy mentioned it, and then Reevesy was trying to go bottom ball, and then Chops was outside of the tempo, so Chops was CC Reevesy, and it's slowing down Reevesy. And then, while I was capping top up, and Edge was capping bottom up. So that's why we got double cap, because Chops is slowing the Reevesy down.
Yeah, I used just about every single possible CC I had on him, and he didn't have anything to stop or get through it.
Yeah, I talked to KPZ after the game, just because it was one of those moments where you're like, oh, go bottom buff, where are you guys? Yeah, I was cheering for the underdog. I want to see good games. I wanted to see it to go to Game 5. And so I talked to them after the games, and they said that it was mostly a communication error. They said that Sub-Kitty was supposed to be the one going bottom, then Reevesy tried to go, and they're both, I guess, kind of bickering at each other back and forth, who's going. It was just an intense game. That was definitely probably the closest game of the tournament. Do you guys think that game should have been yours? Had they been able to contest that bottom or top cap, where do you think the game would have went?
We would have been able to capture their point, because I was keeping, because I was already rotating towards Temple, and the Thief, personally I could 1v1 just about any Thief, and with Morph and me there, our damage together is actually really high. Our team comp together, just everybody does good in 2v2s together. But me and Morph, we do actually pretty good on sustain. So if it's against the Staff Ellie and the Thief will die before the Staff Ellie, so we would focus the Thief. So if they were to just keep the bottom contested, I pretty much had faith in H-Man to be able to 1v1 their Staff Ellie. While me and Morph would have been able to blow up that Thief, or I could have just told Morph to not out-rotate, but just rotate out, and I could have just stepped in to 1v1 the Thief.
If you guys are going to fight 2v2 on a point, or maybe even 3v3, who do you want there? Who do you want in those fights?
Me, Chubbs, and Knight. If it's a 3v3, me, Chubbs, and Knight. Easily. That's what we prefer. If we can get that 3v3 matchup, just because we can even handle 3v4 and win the 3v4, because we tested it. The reason, our comp, we tested a lot of things. We know what our weaknesses and strengths are, and we know that if we can get a 3v3 with us 3 there, that's a huge advantage for us, just because we can even win a 3v4, so that's what we prefer. And 2v2, Knight and Chubbs.
So, actually, let's talk about some of your strengths and weaknesses then. So after the tournament, we saw a ton of forum posts, right? The forums were on fire, as they were after the EU tournament as well, talking about your guys' comp, talking about everyone else in the tournament. A lot of people don't think there's a weakness to your comp. A lot of people think that it's the best comp you can run. What are you guys scared of? Imagine there's 5 extremely skilled players out there, say as skilled as you guys are, and they played off against you guys. What comp could they run that would scare you?
Mesmer and a Thief And
identical to TCG comp, pretty much.
Basically. Portal, burst, and the mobility that they have, if they had coordination, that's easily the scariest comp.
So many boon rips and a strong 1v1er with Rom's build.
Did TCG have a handbow?
No, they have the axe.
Yeah, the axe sword.
If they maybe also had a handbow instead, that would also even be even scarier or just as scary.
Would you ever venture into one of those builds, Tarsus, or are you liking Holbrecht Hambo too much?
I tried every build on Warrior. I still like him. The reason why we play 2 Hambo is because we teamwork with Chops. Like whenever Chops putting water fields, me and Edgeman will just realize that and just burst on water fields. Pretty much work together and heal everybody's up when everybody's like super low. Yeah.
So if you think you guys faced off against TCG, you think it'd be a pretty close game?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
it'll be fun. Really
It'll be fun.
Their rotations are probably like top notch, so I definitely think it'd be pretty close.
And Ron is like pushing far, like constantly, and then if he beat me 1v1s, there would be like a big disadvantage for our comp because our comp is kind of like rely on me to win on the 1v1.
Like Tarsus 1v1ing is like one of our strengths and also one of our weaknesses. Like if you can manage to find a build that can 1v1 Tarsus, that's definitely a huge advantage and a weakness for us, which is kind of what Caput showed, just because like Caput had that poison, which like nullifies his like healing signet.
Right.
So he kind of beat him a couple times, and
I mean one time. One time.
My bad. Well, you can have someone that 1v1 Tarsus, that's definitely a huge advantage. And then also, if you can have someone who's able to, or a group who can 2v2 9 chubs, that's also a huge advantage. But that's also pretty hard, just the fact that they have so much utility over there, from like rezzing and healing and support from one another.
So Tarsus, what build would be good against yours?
Axe sword, Lombo. That build is typically for 1v1s. And then like K-pop was running poison on Lombo. And the poison is really good against another warrior, which is the warriors using healing sickness. So if somebody from K-pop and keep 1v1 me, I will have like a big pressure. Like I won't be able to feel 100% to win the 1v1s.
Z Sub QD, K-Pud, Mado, Intense. Good fights, obviously. A lot of people. There was a poll at the beginning of the tournament. I think like over half of people voted for good fights to win the tournament, and they actually got a limit. I think they placed 3rd or 4th, or tied for 3rd and 4th, since they didn't play that match. We also had Outplayed by Children, and I think you guys mentioned before this that you feel like if Outplayed by Children made it to the finals, they would have gave you a good fight.
Yeah, for sure. We played against them a couple times in Team Q, and we felt they were the strongest team in NA besides us.
They had like a pretty DPS comp, right? I mean, they have good players. They have like Da Vinci, right? So they have really good players. Is it just because they have extra damage, or why are you specifically scared of that comp?
I don't know. We played them a couple times. They were really good with their rotations, and I think the fact that they were running, was it double NG and Necro against us? Do you guys remember?
Yeah.
Double NG Necro.
Yeah, and even with the amount of Connie clear we have, you know, it's pretty hard to deal with those Connies.
They got Nas playing Necro, right? And then it was Backpack. Yeah, and Happy Kid. Is Happy Kid on?
Happy Kid's playing CC NG, having decap NG. Sort of decap NG. They just keep push you back and then can decap your opponent. Yeah.
So, again, a lot of good teams here, and I think people have seen what NA can offer through this tournament. It's been a while since we've had like a really good tournament, right? So, the next tournament, we're going to have up to 128 teams, and hopefully we can get everyone who wants to compete into the tournament. Are you guys be playing for TOL too?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's some advice you could maybe offer to not only the new teams that are coming in, but also maybe the teams that you guys might have eliminated throughout the tournament? Like, what can they do, where can they improve, and what should they be working on between now and the next tournament?
I think learn your limits. It really helps with rotations when you know how much you can take, what you lose to, what you're strong against 1v1, and like who you're good with, like who can rotate with you and you can win a 2v2 with.
Yeah. You also definitely want to like your teammates, just because like if things are getting tough, like you know how we were down, it's like sometimes their morale kind of drops.
Right.
They don't like come back from the game. So if you like your teammates and you play with them quite a bit, you can probably come back from that easily. So that's another advantage.
Never give up. That's what if you lose too much, just don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And just play hero main class.
But the biggest advice I want to give people is, if you work on your mechanics, if you're just forming a team, I would say work on your mechanics so you know your class in and out. And then work on skirmishes like 2v2s and 3v3s after that. That way, mechanics are no longer an issue, and all you have to work on is rotation and your strategy.
So a lot of people switch from class to class, right? Like a lot of people will say, hey, like for example, KPC swapped a lot of their the players what they're playing the day of the tournament or the day before. Would you recommend that? Do you think people should try to find the strong comps, or do you think they should play what they know and just try to make the comp work with what they have?
I think they should definitely stick with what they main, and have maybe one person on their team and be that multi-classer. That one person be that guy who can play the class that the team needs. Because that's basically what we have. And I think people don't really know that. Like, everyone on our team has mained their class since day one. The only person who hasn't, who is our multi-classer, is Knight. He plays whatever class we need.
Knight's Mesmer, right? Main Mesmer?
No, I meant Warrior.
Really? Thought it was... Okay, so I'll even know. Okay.
Yeah.
Thought it was Mesmer.
Did you imagine that? 3 warriors?
I can. I've seen it before.
Not a cue that would know in the forums.
You guys should get your own forum, probably. Is there any other advice that you would give them? Just try to imagine 128 teams coming in. Let's say half of those are brand new. Like, what should they be focusing on besides that?
For teams that are coming in that are like, teams that are barely like being formed, like right now, like as we speak, you never know. But teams that are being formed right now, I believe that they shouldn't feel discouraged. Like if they're going against if they see Apex joins, or Good Fights joins, the Tournament of Legends. I don't think they should feel discouraged because, Good Fights have been together for a while. We've been together for a while. People like that, when they go into the tournament, let's say they get wiped the first round, they would give up. They would disband, and that's not a good idea. I believe that they should continue to work as a team and just it's a level. It's like a step. You can't climb to the top on your first day. You have to just take it a step at a time.
Yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely. So when you guys started out, did you guys have a lot of bad games?
You want to know something? Our first game together, how we actually formed way back in the day, it was random. We just hugged. Mm-hmm. And our first game was against PZ and we won. That's how.
I was looking for an underdog story. That was not it. We persevered. We lost a ton of games. It was hard, but look where we are today. No, it was just we went straight to the top. No big deal.
Cuties gave us a spanking for a while. They pretty much taught us how to rotate, how to be good.
That's how we started.
But on the what you mentioned about teams not getting discouraged and whatnot, we really want to incentivize that, at least on our side. We're going to try to give rewards to teams that are coming into the tournament. So as long as they win around, they should get a reward. So we really want them to actually try to progress as far into the tournament as they can. And even if they see Good Fights, all the way up there at the round of 8, and they're still in the round of 128, they should try to get as high as they can. Because we want to make sure that the experience is rewarding. So that's good advice.
One thing I definitely want to also tell everyone is, when you're forming a team and you're trying to form a strat, play to your weaknesses. That's a huge thing. That's basically kind of why we have a 3-point strat. Because we know we don't have any mobility. So if we don't want to worry about a thief constantly decapping, etc. Just play 3-point strategy, and we know that we can rotate by having sustain, with everyone. That's why we basically have a 3-point strat and played that's how we played our weaknesses, basically. So if you can know your weaknesses, you definitely want to try to cover those up base in your strategy.
So do you think the best strategy against you guys would be to do 2-point, focus on midpoint and home point, and that way your back point has to come into the mid fight, or would you still camp it?
That's a good question. I'm not really entirely sure, because most people usually just play 3 points against us, so I wouldn't really know.
So you're saying they should play 2 points against you?
Because we can hold a 2v3 before pretty well. That's another advantage of ours, so I'm not really entirely sure.
There's a way to beat us. I mean, I personally don't I usually just play and do what they tell me to do. I do it good, but they're the ones that come up with the strats and everything. And I do know there is a way to beat us, but it's just we adapt, we evolve very, very quickly. Like how you said before, it seems like we're always down, in the beginning. And then out of nowhere, the tables just turn. That's just because we adapt. We know where to move, when to move, how to move. So it just all kind of like just comes down to us just adapting so quickly. So if someone was to play 2 points, we would adapt. I don't know how. Like I said before, they would tell me how to adapt. Before they would tell me how to adapt. Before they would tell me how to adapt.
Hey guys, so apparently the last portion of the interview was cut off, and we addressed the taco situation with H-Man. I do apologize about that being cut out. I'm gonna go ahead and blame my my helper over here, who's furiously giving me rude gestures. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much all we had for today. I just wanted to touch on a couple other things before we go. I saw a couple questions in chat about, you know, I thought the show was supposed to be about, you know, where are the updates, what are we working on currently. Just want to, you know, calm you guys down a little bit. Like, granted, we are working on things right now. We're always going to be working on something. When we're ready to talk about it, this will be the place to go for it. In the meantime, what I want to start doing is highlighting people in the community. There's a lot of really great players out there, like you guys just saw here, and from last week with, 2 weeks ago, pardon me, with TCG. A lot of information these guys can be providing to the community. I want to make sure we can highlight them and let them kind of teach our player base like what's going on in the game. So if you guys have any suggestions for future shows, I'd like to get more of like a state of the game kind of vibe back, and then again, when we have things to talk about that we can on the development side, we'll definitely be talking about it as much as we can. So anyways, just a reminder, Festival of the Four Winds is coming up next Tuesday. So this is the first release that we've had since the April 15th feature pack that we all know and love. So please check that out. A lot of old rewards are coming back, so you can get those back, and you know, I think it's a good opportunity to get some stuff you missed the last time around. But anyways, that's all for us this week, guys. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you guys follow the channel. This will be the place we'll be doing the Tournament Legends 2. And again, you need to be following the channel for those hashtag precursors and those llama finishers or whatever else we're going to give away next time. So again, please follow us on the channel, and we'll see you next time.